Okay, this morning I'm going to speak to the implications of our press release today, which is really somewhat different than we've had in the past. Really, this press release is to bring forward the other side of the project that's been ongoing this year. You know, the real focus in the project this year has been the expansion of the Water Pump Creek sulfide discovery. Most of the press releases have directly been focused on that. But the second aspect of this program this year was really to look at the look at the system as a whole and really target the entire system and opportunities, not just Water Pump Creek. That, of course, was the real news flow this year. So today's press release is really an attempt to show the market as a whole what is evolving on the exploration side of the story. What really came out of it is that we did a major CSAMT program this year, and we've reprocessed a lot of the older geophysics. We also did a really expanded soil geochemical study this year. So all of that together has really helped us to start to define the bigger scale opportunities on the property, not just expansion of the Water Pump Creek ore body, or I should say mineralized body, going forward here. Clearly, there's huge potential on the CRD manto at that point, but we don't want to miss the opportunity of the bigger story, which is the hydrothermal system as a whole. Really, through the course of the year, we really appreciated that suddenly we had a footprint of the potential mineralized system, 7-8 kilometers by 7-8 kilometers, disappearing under cover to the south. And we really came to the realization that chasing 450 meters along the Water Pump Creek structure itself was maybe a little too over-focused going forward. So this press release will really frame where we're at with that bigger exploration story. So the fundamental thing that came out of the CSAMT this year was that we really recognize that there are two discrete structural blocks, two different, call it domains of geology on the property, on which the whole hydrothermal system is overprinted. One is called the East Block and one is called the West Block. And we'll start here, and I'll just address what the East Block is. The East Block is the Water Pump Creek trend. The permissive rocks that can be mineralized there are a 600-meter thick carbonate package, which is capped by an overthrust package of schists, which serve to puddle and focus the fluids along the Water Pump Creek fault, really providing the target at Water Pump Creek that we've been exploring actively this year. The real exciting thing that's happened is we brought Bolin, an ex-Newmont chief geophysicist, on board to help us look at the historical data and really put that in greater context. He took the 2005 IP survey and reprocessed it using a more modern 3D inversion model to really understand and domain the resistivity, which is how CXO are in the chargeability side of the survey. What was really exciting for us was recognizing that there was a direct one-to-one correlation with the evolving sulfide ore body at Water Pump Creek and a really defined resistivity, say something less than 30 ohm meters. So very, very conductive ore body and continuing to the south. The historical survey only covers about 2 kilometers of strike length along the Water Pump Creek fault. What the reprocessed data shows is that we have the well-defined Water Pump Creek mineralization that we were drilling this year, offset by a post-mineral fault, a strand of the Illinois Creek fault, and that entire anomaly displaced slightly to the west, where it continues south through the Last Hurrah area. The anomaly in the geophysical survey is 1.4 kilometers long, sitting in exactly the same geologic position. There's really good leakage, soil anomalies, up dip on the Dolomites. It's a cookie cutter anomaly of Water Pump Creek just displaced slightly to the west and open that almost 1.5 kilometers to the south. Of course, the anomaly continues to the south, and it also continues north of Water Pump Creek. So this year's targeting in the East Block will really, of course, we'll continue on just direct offsets of the Water Pump Creek ore body, but we will start drilling the Last Hurrah anomaly, and we'll do a major 3D IP survey along the entire 6-kilometer trend of the Water Pump Creek structure. And we can see that trend continues that long because of the CSAMT survey we did this year. So really potential to turn, not just directly expand Water Pump Creek, a mineralized body that we're chasing right now, but to extend that into Last Hurrah, and then potentially along the entire 6-kilometer trend there that we see. Certainly there's going to be some really additionally, exciting anomalies coming out of that upcoming IP this coming year. So that's the East Block mineralization. The West Block is somewhat different geology. What we see there is a very distinctive 400-meter thick carbonate stratigraphy in which you can develop CRD deposits as a whole. Importantly, it occurs under a greenstone sill that, very much like the schist package in the East Block, acts as a constraint to the flow of fluids. And we drilled a couple of exploration holes really late in the season, Illinois Creek 2201 and 2, that actually pierced the greenstone and encountered really spectacular alteration, zones of massive pyrite mineralization, lots of anomalous chemistry, good lead, zinc, silver numbers, nothing of a ore grade, but clearly in the fluid package that we would be pursuing. That stratigraphy under the greenstones is what the old historic Illinois Creek ore body was developed in, as was the East IC manto. So recognizing that control and that package of rocks dips under the greenstone, we can really see that very effectively in the CSAMT survey. Importantly, that's a really big target. It's 4 by 2 kilometers in scope, south of the Warm Springs Fault, and we've dubbed it the Warm Springs target. Virtually undrilled, other than our few tests in the extreme northeast corner of that 4 by 2 kilometer block. The other exciting point is that as we progress to the west across that target, suddenly we've picked up a very significant copper gold soil anomaly directly south of the old Illinois Creek pit, continuing south of the Warm Springs Fault. Very strong copper gold signature, which really looks possibly to be the sourcing of the porphyry sourcing of the fluids for the entire CRD system. So we have some exceptional targets that way. That soil area is roughly 1.5 by 1.5 kilometers south of the pit. Again, virtually undrilled and totally undrilled south of the Warm Springs Fault. So really an evolving big scale target in the West Block, the Warm Springs target and its potential vectoring toward a porphyry source of the fluids there. So the implications of both the East and West Block and how we want to expand the story in 2023 is really driven us to a two-prong 2023 exploration program. Of course, we're adding real value to the company at Water Pump Creek itself. Clearly, there's offsets from the really thick mineralization that was continuing to the south. Under the wetlands, we can expand that. The Water Pump Creek structure to the north is open and has yet been drilled. We have the structural intersection around drill hole 18, the really thick interception that kind of defined a chimney. We'll explore that along northeast trends as well, which looks like to be the cross structure that's controlling that. But the rest of the story is it's not just drilling that, it's starting to test all these other targets that have come about this year. So clearly we want to get some real profiles across the last hurrah offset anomaly of the Water Pump Creek trend to the south. We need to get some early exploration holes in West Block targets, both the porphyry and the CRD kind of setting beneath the greenstone package. So to accomplish, all of those goals, in a truly well-planned execution plan, is we've bought 3 new drill rigs, which will be mobilized into the property during March. We're going to be moving snow in March. We'll be flying them in April, and we'll start drilling in May. With the overriding goal is to get 2 drill rigs focused on testing all of these exploration targets, ideally to find additional mineralization, and 2 drill rigs continuing to expand Water Pump Creek to get us over that goal of 100 to 120 million ounces silver equivalent. To reiterate, the goals in 2023 are twofold. First off, we would like to expand the Water Pump Creek mineralization to with sufficient drilling that we could do a resource yielding something on the order of 100 to 120 million ounces silver equivalent. Of course, that implies some infill drilling from last year and expansions along the trend itself. The second goal is really to test, all of the really exceptional new targets that are coming out of kind of the comprehensive review of the geology, the geochemistry, and the new geophysics in the CSAMT and the reprocessed historical geophysics. All of that's really coming together to give us a really strong portfolio of targets on the property, in addition to the Water Pump Creek mineralization that really, propel the company forward this year.